I got a woman here who can cure the whooping cough. This is a woman who married Shannon, who married Shannon, and that confluence of medical magnificence allows you to cure the whooping cough, for goodness sake. Well, whether that is or is not, Alwynne Shannon, you're most welcome, and you're the outreach officer with the Mourne Mountains Landscape Partnership. What is that MMLP?
MMLP. That is part of the Mourne Heritage Trust. And it's a programme that is running now from 2013 to 2016, and it's been funded primarily from the Heritage Lottery Fund. So we're based now in Alwynne, and there's 4 of us work within the partnership, but we are an overall part of Mourne Heritage Trust.
And what do you do?
Well, my job is the outreach officer, and what I do, I have a number of programs, but I'm that link between a lot of the programs that we're running and the community, so that we can connect with the locals that live in the area, also with people coming into the area, but primarily trying to make that connection with people that live in the Mourne area.
So what would a typical program that you outreach about be?
The programs are very varied, because we're covering things that maybe haven't been covered traditionally by Mourne Heritage before. So it's not just, you think of heritage and the natural heritage of the Mournes, which is so beautiful in the heathland, but there's also the built heritage things that we have running our programs by, say, the Alwynne Corn Mill, the summit towers in Donard and Commodore, the dry stone walls, the Mourne wall, places like Silent Valley. We have a number of programs running out of. So it's not just the natural, there's that built heritage. And then the other side of it, which perhaps we'll probably talk about today, is the whole cultural heritage. You know, the storytelling and music. Now, music in Rostrevor and places in Mourne is very well established.
Yeah, I suppose Rostrevor's not really Mourne, though, is it?
Well, it is touching on the MMLP area,
yeah.
because it is just in the foothills there. And there's a lot of projects going on there, for example, in Ornia. But some areas that, you know, have a bit more music going on. But there's lots of things. There's storytelling, there's music, and there's drama. And we're trying to promote those things in the Mourne area. And it's not just because we're trying to promote it for the sake of it, but it's a great way to tell the story of things that are happening there. People learn much more about heritage, you know, when they get involved in those sort of activities. So it's trying to connect.
Are the people down there, are they a wee bit suspicious of quangos because of this hassle about the Mourne, what's it called, the national park thing? Are they receptive to what you're bringing to them?
Yes, so far very receptive, because I think, you know, people are always a little suspicious if they think that there's something new going on. This is really about landscape and the people that live in the Mournes. Yes, it's about tourists, but it's really about, you know, the people that live there and the knowledge that they have. So many of the locals have that knowledge that could be forgotten, you know, in this generation. It tells them their dads or mums who maybe worked in Silent Valley, who maybe have worked stone, who have a history of storytelling or music. And it's that sort of connection. So making this connection is us also trying to find out, gather that information that could very likely be forgotten.
Are you a Mourne woman?
Well, I'm a blow into Rathviolent, but I've lived in Rathviolent there probably longer than anywhere else, so I count myself as a local there. But I've played and enjoyed the Mournes for the last, 22 odd years. So I wouldn't necessarily say they would count me as one of their own yet.
Probably
but
wouldn't, I can tell you, yeah. But having said that, it is the most remarkable place. The mountains, from any point in the mountains almost, you can see the ocean, the sea beneath you.
Yes, exactly.
You can see the kingdom of man across the way on another time over to the island. You can see south to the hills of Dublin and all of that. It's an amazing place.
Yes, and I think, in our parents' time, we all enjoy the mountains now. There's so many outdoor activities, but in people that have gone past, in our parents' time, our grandparents, that environment was a working environment. It wasn't somewhere that they were able to enjoy to play. It could have been with the granite industry, or it could be with bullion or farming. So for them, the mountains was a place of work and endeavour, and that's what we're trying to celebrate in this programme, because there's so many stories about the sheepfolds and and the Bully Fair. And there's a lot more than just the activity that we enjoy. You know, there's so much more history, and I think locals are keen. You ask, you know, how they feel about it. They're keen to get that knowledge of how their families have worked there and toiled, and it hasn't always been very easy.
Yeah.
So they are actually very keen to get that knowledge across.
Is there a sense within the populace that the things you talk about, the important industrial mourns of the past, and whether it's the agri-industry of the hill farming and the potatoes and the fish then at sea and the season is right, is there a sense that that's a vanishing mourn?
Yes, in some ways it appears to be, but actually, you know, when you go along the coastline, you know, Voundon, Tanalong, Newcastle, the people are doing very much what they've always done, and they, you know, it would have been a thing in Mourne that maybe you had to work in the hill, maybe there was a bit of granite work, maybe you did a little bit of fishing and maybe farming. There was always that link with being able to you know, turn your hand to a few things, and I think to an extent that still is there. Now people do, and young ones have gone away to work, you know, further afield, but a lot of the people still are doing the traditional type of work there and still stay there, and I think that's what makes it a very unique place, that generations tend not to go away, and that's a very nice thing about Mourns. There still is that semblance of what it was like.
You're well positioned to answer. What do you think the endearing and enduring characteristic of the Mourne person is? Oh
no, I have a lot of friends out there that might have a thing to say about that, but there's a very solidness about Mourne people. You know, if you have a friend in Mourne, they'll stay a friend, but they're very solid and dependable, but they are frank. Yeah. You know, they'll call a spade, and sometimes you might hear things you don't want to necessarily hear. They're not flowery.
Yeah.
But that dependability
that honestly doesn't destroy friendship.
No, and you know, you really know where you are. I think they're a very solid type of people.
Alwynne, Shannon, thank you very much indeed. Later this morning I'm talking to Martin Carey of the Mourne Heritage.
Heritage Trust.
The Mourne Heritage Trust. But you have been a good harbinger for he who is to come.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Go
Thanks,
well, we'll play you
welcome.
some music now.